Good morning, all. I have the honor to introduce our next speaker. It's Miss Paula Doublin. And Paula is the Assistant Vice President of Antenna Solutions, Construction, Engineering, and Project Management for AT&T. Her responsibilities are enterprise-wide tactics, network deployment relating to engineering, construction, and installation of in-building solutions and distributed antenna solutions, as well as small cell infrastructure for the AT&T's entire national network. She was appointed to this position in March of 2010, and project management was added just recently in September. Paula has extensive experience in this business, built on a number of positions as stated, and she began her career at Southwestern Bell in 1982 in Dallas. So that dates her a notch, but anyway, she really knows her business, and today she'd like to share her thoughts with you. So please welcome Paula Doublin.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Good morning.
First of all, I'd like to just say thanks for asking me to come and just have a conversation with you this morning. I'm very proud to be here. I love Nashville, and we actually have taken the opportunity to kind of road trip this week. So we started in Louis. Where were we, guys? We were in Louisville yesterday morning, and took a ride up to the University of Kentucky and toured some folks around the stadium at Commonwealth, and then drove down to Nashville. Today we're here today and tomorrow. We're going to tour some sites, and then we're on to Atlanta to tour some sites, and we're going to end up in Athens, Georgia, to take a look at the University of Georgia, the stadium that we have got there. So I'm very proud to take the road trip with my team, and then I'm also from not too far from here, actually, over in southern Missouri, and I'm about probably 3 hours from where my mom and dad live and where I grew up. So great part of the world here. So want to just have a conversation today a little bit about AT&T, and I kind of had to chuckle a little bit earlier on some of the comments there, that if anybody asks me what a small cell looks like, I'm going to go, what kind of small cell? I couldn't tell you unless we can become very specific. Maybe we can. So, but anyway, that's what I'm going to have a chat about today. So, the lawyers would never let me out of their sight unless I put this up. So the cautionary language, I'm not going to read it to you. But in case something about financials or anything like that comes out of my mouth, I've given you the warning statement. So there it is. And then, I don't know about you, but the business which we're in, the business of communication, the business of wireless, the business of connectivity, I do not believe that there's any better business in the world. Would you guys agree with me on that one? I get goosebumps whenever I talk about it. Look what we do for the world. All of us in this room, and the services that we enable, and the communications that we enable across the world. We truly make a difference, and it's every one of us in this world. So let's talk about let's wait a minute. I think this is a great slide that basically says, here's what's happened in the last minute that I've been up here speaking with you. So we have moved, and I'm going to look at this slide a little bit closer because we updated it this week. It's 1.5 million gigabytes have moved across the world's networks. 3.7 34.7 million messages have occurred. Videos, it's accounted for 1/3 of the traffic. So there's a lot that happens in a minute, and we are learning, as you all are, that data never sleeps. Never. I don't know how closely you can see this, but this is a heat map of what happens across the world. So as the sun goes down in one part of the world, it is coming up in another, and you can see if you take a look at the heat maps that occur on an hour by hour, minute by minute basis, you can see the world come alive. It is awesome. Go out and take a look at that, everyone, if you get a chance. So how do we keep up with connectivity? The answer is within. So this is actually, the source of this data is an annual report. It's actually the AT&T annual report from 2014. We just issued the annual report for 2015 last Friday. If you're a shareholder, you probably got your message that your annual report was available. If not, it's out on the AT&T website. Go take a look. But this is the message from the chairman to the shareholders. And it's a word cloud. And the bigger the word, or the bolder the word, the more often it was repeated in the message. So you can see, it's about service, it's about video, it's about customers, it's about mobile, it's about network, it's about TV, it's about North America, whether it be in the 50 states or Mexico. Didn't see Canada in there, but actually I don't know about that. So anyway, but it's about business services, it's about consumer TV, it's about consumer mobility, and then of course with the investment of Direct and all the assets that it brought down in Mexico and Latin America. So, let's get back to basics. So, it's about mobilizing your world. How many of y'all still have a landline, old-fashioned telephone in your house? I do. But if you can see where I'm at right here and looking out here, maybe I saw 10, 15 hands. It's about mobile. So, AT&T's mission, very, very simple, is that we connect people with their world everywhere they live, work, and play. And we do it better than anybody else. The old business school, we're going to move across to the strategies. We are going to invest, and have been investing, to be the premier integrated communications company in the world. So, you're going to see, if you have followed AT&T over the years, we have invested well over $20 billion every year for the past 5 years. We don't see that changing. So, $20 billion, that's a little bit of money. And but the thing about it is, if you don't invest it today, you will not serve tomorrow. So we're glad to do it. Tactics, I'm going to go into the tactics just a little bit later. But this is Business School 101. How do you get there? I'm going to go through those. So let's mobilize to true north. We are about services that enable. We are about architectures that solve. And we are going to do it anywhere. So, guys, and folks, guys, that's kind of a Missouri thing. I am a simple carpenter and builder. Okay? I am a simple carpenter and builder. We build it anywhere. So, I have the best job in the world. Yesterday afternoon, I got to go places in Churchill Downs that people will never see. And it was just, it was so great being up on the top of Churchill Downs and looking out across the properties and all that sort of thing. So literally, we solve anywhere. So whether it be an airport, whether it be a hospital, whether it be a convention center, whether it be a stadium, whether it be a shopping center, whether it be a tall vertical building, whether it be a car manufacturing facility, we solve anywhere. Okay. So this is kind of the wheel of the world, as we call it. This is about how we get there, and it's about building an ecosystem and growing an ecosystem around the business. So you can see speed, you can see great people, which are really the secret sauce. It's about investing in the future, it's about software-defined networks, it's about cost efficiency and about being frugal. Those of you who have ever visited me in my office know that you do not get out of my office unless you hear the words from me, you are too expensive. I can afford you. And then it's about, it's about integration, it's about innovation, it's about connectivity, and it's about being accountable and transparent. What you see with me is what you get. I make no bones about it. If you saw how I'm dressed today, I'll do that. I'll move over. I have on a pair of jeans. I have a pair of tennis shoes on. Comfortable, by the way. And I'm logoed. This is me. What you see is what you get. In fact, I've got one of the directors who I work with. If I happen to dress up on a day, he'll go, "Are you going to a funeral? Or are you interviewing for another job?" So, two of the biggest misconceptions in the business is coverage and capacity. You can have a lot of coverage, but you have nothing unless you have capacity. Very simple way of looking at it. You can have a little kiddie pool that has great coverage, but over here in the ocean with the elephant halfway up to its chest, that is capacity. So, let's do a little level setting. Let's talk about densification. It's the word out there. It's been the word out there for probably I started hearing it about 3 years ago. And so let's talk about it. Small cells. Let's see, that would have been 2009, 2010. I saw my first mocked up small cell. It was literally a prototype. It was literally slideware, and it was about this big. There was a lot of press that went out about it, and got cities and municipalities really excited about, oh, it's small, it's easy to go, it's plug and play. So those of you who build networks, I hope you cringe as much as I do when you hear the word plug and play. I'm thinking, I just aged another 10 years every time I hear that word. But anyway, so let's talk about small cell. Small cell is any communications enabling device that is not attached, usually, to a traditional communications tower. It's all about, how's the best way to put this? It is all about using small watt radios to densify your network, to put more coverage, more capacity out into your network. At AT&T, we'll go through it and we'll take a look. First choice is always going to be a macro network, a tower. And then we're going to move it across into micro and picos. And of course, you've got repeaters come into play, Wi-Fi comes into play out into the in-building space. So another way of saying that is we want to build from the outside to the inside. It all comes together as a het net. It all works together as a het net. That means that you have to have software that can manage it. It means that it has to integrate. It means that another simple way of saying that is it all has to play nicely in the area. One can't dominate the other. So the way that we look at it is, so you're above the clutter, you're below the clutter. If you're 70 feet or less, you're down below the clutter usually. You're over 70, you're up into the clutter. So, getting to the HETNet. HETNet's been a word that's been out there, once again, for at least 4 or 5 years that I know of, and how it all comes together. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. Never will be. At least that's Paula Doublin's personal opinion. We have to solve with the best tool that we have in the toolbox to solve it. Small cell, low power radios work for some things. They do not work for others. We are seeing projects that, that were originally thought that were great candidates for small cells are making the transition over to traditional distributed antenna systems coming into the building now. Making the cut, we're going time out. What are we trying to solve for? What's out in front of us? And we're making the conscious decision to go from small cell over to DAS. There is an economic crossover point that we always have to keep in mind. So, more than just smarts are needed in this business. So I want to talk a little bit about the tactics that all of us should try to follow, at least in my opinion. We have to give more than lip service to deliver an effortless customer experience. How many of you all out in your business here, you've got to be easier to do business with? Has anybody ever heard that one? If you haven't, I'm surprised. So we've got to work together. That means AT&T, that means you, that means your suppliers, that means my suppliers. Everyone in this business has got to commit to making it easier for all of us to do business. All of us. Got to lead in connectivity and integrated solution. I ask myself this every day. Are the activities that we're doing from an antenna solutions group or an ASG perspective, are we adding value to the business? And are we contributing to connectivity? Because if we're not, we are off the mark. So that's both from at the far end with the customer, all the way back up into the core. If we're not contributing to that, we are not adding value. So, it's what we are doing. Can we recreate it globally if we choose to? It's all about building great foundational elements. Can I take what I build today and easily transition to whatever the requirement is tomorrow? Now, some people say, oh, but you're going to spend way too much money. I don't think so. The data does not prove that out. So, work with an industry-leading cost structure. So here's the deal. You got to understand what your costs really are, just like I have to understand what my costs really are. And I have to make that decision by data that says, am I a good cost or am I a bad cost? It's that simple. A bad cost is one that doesn't increase your revenues or it doesn't drive your costs lower. It's that simple. And what I'm seeing is that people are losing sight of that. All right. As I said earlier, the secret sauce of this business is the people that deliver it. And so you've heard a lot about 2020. I'm sure you saw the article in the Wall Street Journal here a couple of weeks ago from our chairman, Mr. Stevenson. It's about the workforce. And in that article, he says if you're not spending at least a minimum of 5 hours a week and sometimes up into 10 hours a week learning, either taking online courses, attending courses, self-study, experimentation, you're probably going to be left behind. You're probably going to obsolete yourself if you don't do that. So I would encourage everyone in the room, if you're not studying, if you're not picking up and reading a book, if you're not, there's just a wealth of information that's about good information that's available out on the internet. You probably need to rethink why you're here. So we have, in AT&T, we're taking it very seriously. So we have got all sorts of macro small degrees that are available for our employees to take. We've got some really great master's programs that are now available for our employees. We've increased our annual tuition limits, and we're all about getting ourselves ready for that mark in the sand called 2020. Foundational skills. If you bring anything to the business, the foundational skills that will serve everyone, including your kids, including my 5-year-old granddaughter, number one, integrity. It's customer service. For those of you who have ever worked a counter, who have ever had to face customers coming in your door, customers that are unhappy with you, you know that you can make or break your company, you can make or break your career, you can make or break if you can manage that customer. It's not a natural skill that any of us have. You got to practice it. And then I would also encourage you to take a look at things with a different set of eyes. Just because we have done it that way for 10, 15, 20 years does not mean it is the way that we need to do it going forward. What keeps me up at night is where does my organization, the Antenna Solutions Group, ASG, what does ASG 2.5 look like? What does ASG 3.0 look like? If I had more time, I'd share that with you. We live in a diverse world, and I'm going to take the diverse world and I'm going to say that is about collaboration, it's about cooperation. There's somebody in this audience today that I saw at breakfast. I had known this person or had heard about this person and had worked with this person for years and years and years. But guess what? I met her for the first time today. Now, both of us have the personality that, quite frankly, she's probably more stubborn than I am. She was good, but I love you. But that worked together for us because why did it work together? We wanted to collaborate. We knew we had an end goal to meet, and we knew that it was in the best interest for both of us and our company to meet that goal. So it's about diverse. Are you willing to work with folks from all over the world? I really push data and business skills. If you're not able to understand data, if you're not able to take data and move it around with the simplest of applications and programs, you're probably shooting yourself in the foot. Get your data skills up. Common sense. Don't you wish we could buy a good dose of common sense every once in a while? And then, are you willing, able to become comfortable in various disciplines? Our networks are complex. You have to be able to move about each one of these networks and not necessarily know the absolute nuts and bolts down in them, but you have to understand how they all integrate together and how they all complement each other. And then last but not least, you got to learn to manage the noise. There is a lot of noise, and I'm not talking about RF noise. I'm talking about noise. So I hope you guys know what I'm talking about whenever I talk about noise. There's always lots of rumors out in the industry. So and so is going to do this, and so and so is going to do that, and so is going to invest this, and that sort of thing. If your vision is clear, if your mission is clear, and your tactics are clear, that's what you focus on. You listen, take it in, process it. If it means something to your business, act on it. If not, out the other ear. Best thing I could say for you. Now, where are we going? This is going to be pretty interesting, I think, for you. So, the Antenna Solutions Group in AT&T years ago, back in 2010, purpose-built an organization that says we know we are going to have to densify. We know that we are going to, our spectrum positions, we need to better manage the spectrum positions, particularly in the in-building space. Here is this group. You are going to develop it, you are going to design it, you are going to construct it, you are going to optimize it, and you will manage it. Well, we've done that. So, since, let's see. Really, the first birthday is January the 1st of 2011. We have touched over 7,000 venues. Either through some sort of a modification, some sort of a capacity add, some sort of a new build, some type of a rip and replace. It's pretty good for over that period of time. And just to kind of share a little bit of the information here, if you get a chance to see the deck. What I've done here is I've given you the number of projects that are in flight, the number of projects that we have in construction, and the number of projects that we have brought on air. And this is for the 12 states that are represented by the association here. And I pulled some fresh data this morning. And for the 12 states, we have got about 1,200 projects in flight, meaning that they've not reached construction state yet, but they're on their way to us. And in construction, we have got 110. And on air, close to, I'll round the number down for you, 1,850 projects for 12 states. So, we had that wonderful October, November, and December of 2015. The weather held up nicely, and we turned up more projects in December than we ever have. We booked more spend in December of 2015 than we ever have. Some people were saying, "You're kidding, you're no way are you guys going to do that." Guess what we did? So the future is bright, looking forward to it. I love this business, and I appreciate everybody in the room. And to my team that's here, both the current AT&T folks and the folks who've ever worked for AT&T, we appreciate everything that you've ever done. So thank you very much. I'll take a couple of questions. And if I can't tell you the answer, I'm going to say that. Because remember, what you see is what you get. And I'm a simple carpenter and a simple builder.